folks? Good buddy creedmoorfury coming to you from East of Eden Grower's Place. It's right here in his back to Eden Garden, Piedmont, North Carolina. Join me today for today's episode. I'm going to teach you something different, something new, and hopefully something that's going to do you lots of good. Reich and I are going to do some potato planting. Not regular potato planting. Basically, we're going to be putting some of our seed potatoes, smaller potatoes that we had from last year's grow, into these two bins right here. I even got some from a friend from up north in Pennsylvania. Very, very happy to have received these. I'm going to be putting some of those in here as well. What we're going to do is we're going to attempt to grow new potatoes before the beginning of the growing season, the regular growing season. Okay, so those of you that have grown new potatoes before, you know they don't have to go full term. They're basically going to be small pretty quickly. So I'm looking to get some tuber growth down below. So we're going to grow this stuff in stages, okay? We're going to make levels of soil here. There's 2 scoops right now. I just put 2 scoops of this composted media from this shovel right here. A relatively clean shovel. Now that's about what a scoop looks like. See that? Height and width. And all I do is lay it into this one here that has 1 scoop. And then spread it out. Okay? See how I did that? Once I have about 3 inches of soil underneath, I know I'm going to be in good shape. Okay, I don't want to fill these things up because it'll be too heavy. I'm not trying to grow full potatoes. I'm trying to grow seeds. So basically, once I've got these 3 scoops of soil in there, I'm going to put a layer of what we call bone meal down. That's going to satisfy the needs of these particular potatoes. I'm going to sprinkle some bone meal. Watch how that works out. Got my supplies right here. A little bit of store-bought bone meal. We don't always use the store-bought stuff, but I'm just going to show you, like, just as though it was y'all doing it at home. Everybody doesn't make bone meal. So here I go. It's very dusty, so keep your face out of it. And all we're going to do is put a light coating. Do the same thing to this one. Okay, pretty simple like that. And then we're going to cover it up with another scoop, because this material is going to be accessible to the tubers as they begin to develop. Try not to shake this too much, but you can see the meaning of a good shake. Grab another. Ultimately, in the end, we're probably going to have maybe 3 or 4 inches of soil down there. And that's going to be about enough to take care of these tubers. I'm going to show you how we prevent some issues too, okay, folks? Something I don't always show, but I'm going to show it today. We may as well talk about it while I'm working here, right? Y'all like to see Creedmoor work? So basically, what I want to introduce you to is powdered sulfur. Something the old-timers used to use. They would put it on their potatoes before they sowed those potatoes so that the potatoes didn't succumb to any fungal infections. What can I say about sulfur? Powdered sulfur, elemental sulfur that's been powderized is a great amendment. It's a great material to use for these things because it does have some antifungal capabilities to it. And we really do want to protect these things. It's not going to harm us or the plants. So now, what do we do here? We've got roughly 3 or 4 inches of soil. That's enough for tuber formation down below. Here is where we're going to do the actual sowing of the seeds. All right, so let's go ahead and do some hands-free sowing now. What's hands-free sowing? Well, I'm no longer holding the camera, of course. So here we've got some sulfur powder. All we're going to do is use this to shake it over the top of whatever potato stock we have. You can shake it in a bag or you can shake it right on top. It makes really very, very little difference. Watch how I do this. See, here's one of the red potatoes. I'm going to put this one right here on the left side. And all I'm going to do is sprinkle a little bit of the sulfur right over it, leaving the chits facing up. We're going to put some more in the same way. So another one with some chits. Usually I can put about 3 in a row. There's one more. Purple taters. We could put some purples in there. We're going to put them on the opposite side. These guys right here have already been shaken in some sulfur, and this is how they appear. See? So that's going to go on the right side. Here's another one with a really good chit. 2 sides. We're going to face these up. I'll just take a moment right here to thank Mr. Walter Ambrose. He's a very good friend of mine, a northern grower from Pennsylvania. He supplied these, and we're going to go ahead and give them a go. To let y'all know about my selection process, I'm picking some of the smaller potatoes. These are actually new potato size, and I'm going to be utilizing these because I've got some larger ones in there that will last longer, and there is a chance they make it all the way until the actual time of the season when I put them in the ground as direct sow. So we're going to keep some to go direct sow and keep some to make some new seeds with. So in addition to the purple taters, I got blessed with some Sarpo Miras, and I really, really like this because they're super, super creamy. Also, shaking in just a little bit of powder. Looks like maybe a little diatomaceous earth, possibly. I like to do that myself. And this is going to go in the middle of that over there. They're a little bit bigger, and because they're a little bit bigger, I'm going to give them a little bit of extra space to grow. Now that we got those in place, we'll secure the potatoes. Here goes an example of a, well, a shriveled up potato that's going to do us some good. One of the things I like about this process is all of the nutrition to start this plant is right here, okay? Once I see it start to emerge from the ground as an emergent potato plant, I'll start to give it small amounts of fish hydrolysate. We'll feed it. This is going to go right in the center. And once again, we put the chits facing upwards towards the sky. Now we're going to go ahead to the right side over there. I'll show y'all. And we're going to load that with some other potatoes, but smaller variety potatoes. You can see here some of them have started to form chits. This is one of the common ways that I store them in soils, and we have to do something to keep them from rotting, and this seems to work for me. So we're actually going to take some of the better ones from here. Not all of them are better, but we'll take the better ones from here, and we're going to put them in there. Here you can see a few better examples. One of them just fell on the ground. Oops. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and pick you up and show you. So here you can see they're just sitting right on top of the surface at this point, okay? That's the way we want them. Same thing over here, just sitting right on top of the surface. You can see the ones that were pre-treated and the ones that aren't. Now I'm going to go ahead and shake some sulfur powder over the top. We're going to go literally right from a mason jar. Now, we're actually going to go ahead and go right back to the soil, and we're going to apply a layer of soil the same way we did before. We want to be kind of careful to not displace or dislodge the potatoes that have already been dropped in place, but we want to build up a thin layer of soil all the way to their tops. Spread it out with your hand. Make sure it's nice and even. We'll take care of the second blue bin. Same exact way. I give it just a little bit more because I want a total of about 6 inches of soil to start out with. And there's a reason for this, folks. Okay, so now you see that's looking pretty good. And if you really look close, you'll see right where my finger's pointing, there's a little indentation. And I found that that little indentation in the molding on the inside of these blue bins represents roughly 6 inches. So I've always kind of worked to that range. You can see on both sides, they're both there. Now we're going to do something special. Okay, this is a little different than what I've done in the past, but it's something that I've come to appreciate. And you can see over here to the no, not that side, to the left, I've got my supplies sitting right there. Yeah, there's a product or two over there that I'm going to introduce you to. The one on the left is called Neem seed meal, and it acts as a gentle fertilizer and an insect mitigant. The one on the far right, you can see that right there, is ground chrysanthemum flowers, okay? And that acts as a mitigant also for the wireworm, the dreaded wireworm that loves our potatoes so much. I'm actually going to put a layer of that right over the top. Then I'm going to put a little more soil and a little bit of neem. And once we get to that point on the top, the neem is going to protect it from fungus gnats. It's going to protect the soil from aphids. And as the Myrisarpa, as the reds and the purples and the whites begin to come up, they're actually going to be coated in this solution of neem seed meal and chrysanthemum flower powder. And it's going to help to protect them. We're going to activate all of this with compost heat when we're ready. We won't be adding any water. We're just going to basically make it moist and let Mother Nature take care of it from there. And my goal, my intention is actually to place these two inside of one of my greenhouses. So I will be getting some assistance later on from someone else who will help me carry them into the greenhouse. That way they're going to endure the, well, 17, 16 degrees that we're just about to come up against. And there's my German Shepherd over there. There he is. Hey, Riker, you want to come say hi? No? You're on guard, right? Okay, that's good. Thank you, sir. My handsome boy. No, you can't eat these potatoes, buddy. All right, let's get back to work. Okay, so let's take this to the next step. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to spread some chrysanthemum. Pretty simple move. This is all we do. We just kind of shake it on. This has shown in the past to help alleviate some of the wireworm issues. And if you're already one of those folks like myself that grows plenty of chrysanthemum, there's no reason why you can't dry the leaves and put them in a processor and grind them up. That's all I do. Folks, if you can bake a cake, you can do all this stuff. So it took very little to do that. I don't want the neem seed meal mixed with this, so I'm going to put a thin layer of soil right over the top of that. Does that make sense? For those of you who may be interested in how it is that I come about having these soils, basically all it is decomposed, composted wood chips, sifted through a 1/4-inch sifter. That's all it is, folks. There's nothing special about it. Germinates everything I grow, including potatoes. Actually, this stuff is really good for nightshades. Anything in the nightshade family. Y'all can see how that's covered lightly. We're going to go ahead and put some neem seed meal on it now. Neem seed meal looks like this. It's brown. I'm going to hold it in my hands. I'm going to sprinkle it like that. It takes very little of this stuff to make a really, really profound impact. 2 small handfuls is all I need for this much grow space. And we're going to cover that up with a little bit of soil so it doesn't move around when we water it. And that's it. And by a little bit of soil, I basically mean the same thing we just did. We're just going to toss some on. Okay, and that's all she wrote. Let's see, how do I look? I got my hat on, need to turn it sideways so they don't see that Yankee logo. Can't have folks hating me because of my choice in baseball teams. All right, so what do we cover? We actually covered some good stuff, right? We covered up our potatoes, growing, let's see, how many? The Myrisarpa, the purples, the reds, the whites. Gosh, we got some colors in here. I'm not planting sweet potatoes like this, folks. This is not how I do my sweet potatoes. I always, always, always direct sow my sweet potatoes either right at the end of the freezing period in my region or 2 weeks before the end of the freezing period in my region. And that's it. The sweet potato goes in the ground. It gets covered up with wood chips or compost or whatever, one or the other or both. And they just grow. And then I get massive harvests from them later on. We have plenty of time here for them to develop and evolve in North Carolina. Piedmont area of North Carolina sees plenty of cold, sees plenty of heat. But, it's because of the time and the duration that we have each of those that makes things work or not work. It's not just having heat. It's, well, how long is the heat? How long is the solar period? How long will it be warm? That's what determines whether or not those sweet potatoes will go. In this particular case, pretty much every potato that I put in the ground will handle some kind of cold. They won't handle freezing temperatures, but they'll handle some kind of cold. So I'm simply going to take advantage of the period of time that I have between now and spring, when there is essentially, in spring, there won't be any more freezing temperatures. But at that point, I'm going to have some new potatoes in here that are going to be developing, and I'm going to be able to go right in there and take fresh potatoes and put them in the ground and grow them. If they grow too many new potatoes, I will eat them. Terrible, right? If it grows too many potatoes, I'll eat them. But you can see these 2 small bins, I'm going to get plenty of seeds out of these things. There's going to be plenty of new potatoes that are growing in here. As they start to pop up, I will be covering them with a little bit more soil, and that'll be easy to do because basically all I do is I let them grow up, and this goes for whether determinate or indeterminate. It makes no difference because what I need to do is I need to protect the seeds from sunlight. And at least in the meantime, they're going to be in my greenhouses, and my greenhouses have plenty of sunlight. So I'm going to make sure that as they start to emerge, the seeds don't actually see sunlight. And if that means putting a little bit of soil on top as they start to grow and push up, that is exactly what I will do. But in the long run, this has always worked. We've been doing this for about, gosh, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And over time, it's gotten better and better and better as I've sort of dialed in the process and adhere strictly to the principles. It does tend to get better, and it becomes more productive. You know, it's like anything else. If you reuse these soils, which I will be doing once I'm done taking these harvests from the left and right bins, I will reuse the soil. The soils get reassociated, regenerated. They'll get put right back in the pails again, root sugars and all. And the next time I need to do this, they'll already be there. We don't waste it. But the ultimate goal is to get new potatoes and put those new potatoes out in the garden in the root plot. And over there in the root plot, they will be sustained and supported by the soil biology and the life that's in those beds. And they're going to go right back to where, well, we grow root crops all the time. And as such, we have super continuity between the babies that go in the ground and what's already in place. So what else can I say about this? So we talked about how we're putting it in this soil. We talked about the depth of the soil being roughly 6 inches to start. We talked about how they're going to grow up. They're going to pop up through. All of those chits will turn into stems. The stems will come up. They will develop leaves, and the leaves will begin to photosynthesize like solar panels. And at that point, that's when we're going to start to insert more soil. Typically speaking, by the time I'm done with these 2 bins, they'll be roughly 1/2 to 3/4 filled. And the signal that I will have that they are full of new potatoes could be flowering. It could be I reach my hand down in there and feel for them. Or it could simply be that, well, they started to wither away and the stems start to fall, giving me an indication that they're basically nearing the end of production. So that being the case, we'll pull them out. Those will get dusted in a little bit of sulfur powder and they'll get planted out. You got any questions, please feel free to ask questions. I know this isn't something that everybody does. It's something that Creedmoor does. And if you want to know how to do something that Creedmoor does, always ask Creedmoor. If you want to know how it is that someone else does something, ask them. But in my case, this is something that I support because I do it over and over again. I do it and get great results from it. If I didn't get great results from it, I wouldn't even be making a video right now, would I? Okay, all good. Anyway, I got to keep going. I got lots of chores to do. In 2 days, it's going to be 15 or 16 degrees here. And yeah, I'm in a hurry. Peace, God bless. Don't forget to sub. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share, folks.